That causes gonad atrophy.
Yeah, which you do not want. You do not want.
We have Master Herbalist Derek Fleming as
Hello,
a special
internet world,
guest,
Facebook world.
On our show today, I'm your host, Denis Manzer. This is all about the Libido secrets. So it's kind of like I've got to just take this opportunity to ask you some questions, Derek, because
Absolutely.
it's kind of a rare chance to actually meet with this man, and this man is probably one of the
Masters of the bedroom scene is what
Whoa!
you're getting. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
well, this man has a gigantic amount of knowledge.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah.
Appreciate being here. Always good to get together and talk herbs.
So, if any of you know the company New Earth Organics, this is probably one of the Calgary's premier, well, I guess you're beyond Calgary now, hey?
Yeah, so across the country, we do ship a bit worldwide, a little bit into the US, but mostly focusing on our local community. We're kind of a different business model, if you want to take it from that perspective, where we're about connection with people and really passing on that knowledge, trying to facilitate like that Taoist tonic herbalist approach, that daily tonic herbalism.
And if any of you have tried any of the New Earth products, for sure there's a noticeable side effect. Probably, I think every single one of your products, Derek, could be identified as an aphrodisiac herb. Every one.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument for it, for sure.
I for sure felt some tremendous benefits, and I want to ask you what your perspective is on some of these herbs and how they help.
Definitely. Like, I think as a whole mission of the herbs that we provided, these tonic herbs, but we really try to focus on these three treasure tonic herbs, right? Three treasures, Jing, Qi, and Shen. Nourishing, right? Those treasures. And if you're unfamiliar with the three treasures, you can do some research on your own, but we're talking basically about how the internal energies start to harmonize with each other, right?
Last episode we did the metaphor, we talked about the metaphor of the candle. So you can check that out, building your Jing, your deep adrenal reserves.
Exactly.
And from that you get a lot of Qi.
A lot of Qi, and like I always like to say, a lot of vigor. Right? Energy, vigor, and you
stamina.
know, exactly. And when we talk about vigor, people automatically think libido, but vigor is so much more than that.
Endurance.
Exactly. Endurance, energy, mood, right? If you're vigorous, you're happy, you're switched on, you're more robust for life. So yeah. So we're talking specifically today, I think, in this episode also about the Jing energy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
getting jingy with it.
Exactly. Getting jingy.
Okay, well, I guess we'll ask you about a few of the herbs that, well, I've been really curious about. So,
sure.
First one, I guess we've got it on hand here. We've got some of your, like, magnificent elk antler.
Oh, excellent.
Truth be told, if you have this, you will grow horny.
The call of the elk.
Yeah, so
the wild animal will come out, definitely.
Can you tell us a little bit, like, what are the nutrient values? What are the medicinal values that are producing this effect? Why do I feel so good?
Yeah, great question.
When I take this.
Yeah, so elk velvet antler, just to clear up a little bit of confusion, that a lot of people think that it's the velvet on an antler. It's not. It's actually the antler in that stage of velveting is what we like to call it. So it's when this antler is velveting is when they like to harvest it. And so we take the tips of these antlers, which contain a ton of growth factors and regenerative substances and levity factors and minerals, and the list goes on and on. And what I like to say in terms of a nutrition standpoint is it's really like this supercharged bone broth powder. So it's giving you a ton of nutrition from the get-go. So just to clear that up, it's actually the antler in that time of year, and
because that's the miracle of the antler, right?
Exactly.
Is there any substance in nature so neat? Because every year this animal, like, every year they drop their antlers, and then is it in the springtime or
the rutting,
they begin to grow back, and have any of you seen an elk antler? It's this enormous mass of bone.
Yeah. It's beautiful, gorgeous.
So this product, you're getting the growing tips.
Exactly.
And in those growing tips are concentrated certain compounds, hey?
Exactly, yeah. This chemistry that's this regenerative substances like certain growth factors, certain unique chemistry like something called pantocrine. Pantocrine is a substance that's known to actually enhance strength and vigor and Actually, in
Crane.
studies will actually show that it increases muscle mass on the human body. So these tips and these antlers in general, right, are super regenerative, super growing substances. And even like I've said before, if you've been in any of my talks, but these antlers can be clipped in the season, obviously humanely, just like you would clip your fingernails.
I've seen the videos. Yeah, like apparently you just need a big basket of dandelion greens and an elk, and you have to get into a giant fortified fence, and then you hold the dandelion greens. The elk comes and it wants those dandelion greens. It mows them, and then
superfood.
You clip them like toenails.
Yeah.
And these elk live to great ages because we want them to be as old as they can be, because then you get
ultimate respect.
Then you get also greater harvest of antler.
Exactly, more profound substances, and these substances found cause the regeneration of these antlers in prolific amounts, where it even can grow back in a season up to 6 times they can be clipped.
Holy moly!
Because they're just that's such a heavy levity factor, rejuvenating factor, regenerative factors. So it's pretty profound substances. How that translates into the human body is a vast cascade of different areas, from growing new, stronger, more dense bones.
So they contain what we'd call growth factors.
Definitely, yeah. Among other chemistry, you'll even find there's reports of finding Ormus gold in antlers and certain substances like that. So very mineral rich, but very chemistry rich, I like to say. So
would you say that these are they're steroidal, but they're precursors almost?
Can be steroidal in activity. The interesting thing is when we find that when the human body consumes antler, one of the benefits is proper hormone levels, hormone adjustment, hormone building. The interesting thing is that in the antler itself, so when we talk about hormones like testosterone, a well-known strength, vigor, libido, longevity, youth tonic hormone, we find that these levels start to increase in our body in a positive manner, but yet the antler itself doesn't have the testosterone in it. It's these cofactors and this energy that's helping our body become fortified and the strongest we can be.
So we're producing testosterone from the building material that's in here.
Exactly.
So
which is definitely different than, say, people taking testosterone or injecting testosterone, right?
Because that causes gonad atrophy.
Yeah, which you do not want.
You do not want. That's like when you're taking a steroidal
substance,
your body will rely on those outside sources and not produce its own. But that's the great benefit of this is your body is producing its own source through this rich nutrient and substance.
Yeah, it's bringing you up to optimal, right? So I always like to explain it more from an energetic standpoint, especially from the three treasure standpoint, because we can go blue in the face about chemistry because it's fascinating, but it's more about how does this chemistry translate together for you as a human, as you as a body, right? So when we're talking about antler, we find that it's actually a 3 treasure tonic. So it's got your jing, your qi, and your shen in there. So it's a one size fits all in terms of building the treasures. When we're talking about the hormones and the testosterone and things like that, we're talking specifically about the jing energy. So that foundational vigor energy, right? That longevity energy in the body.
Wow.
The interesting thing about this, because we're holistic beings and things interact, is that by building that jing energy and building those hormones, we also find that antler has a shen quality to it as well. So antler is one of these substances that you can take and notice, like right away. You're feeling more switched on, like I was saying, more fortified, more directed. The ancient, thoughts and theories on antler is it's a really good substance to take to obtain to set goals, to obtain and achieve those goals.
Wow.
It's giving you that, because if you think of an elk, right, it's a big body, it's one of the biggest land beasts we have in the area. It's firmly planted, it knows what it wants, right? It walks around, it gets the job done. It gets the job done. So we embody that. Exactly. It tastes like a dried meat.
Yeah, I've put it in soup. And I put it in a chili once.
Oh, nice.
And it was that amazing umami flavor that I ran to work that day.
Yeah, nice.
And that's another really important thing about the antler to talk about is just that how does it help the tendons and ligaments and joints and there's this whole thing about how it can
Totally.
regenerate broken
Rejuvenating
limbs.
substances. Yeah, so it's because of these regenerative factors. And getting back to talking about the chemistry in antler, we see things like chondroitin, these anti-inflammatory substances. So there's certain growth factors. I believe it's called EGF, which is known to help build back. So epidermal growth factor builds back skin, right? Epidermis, we think of skin.
Yeah.
But also the cartilage and the surrounding aspects of
Your
our joints,
and
right? It's building that
fluids,
internal skin in the body. Yeah, exactly.
tendons, ligaments.
Exactly. So it's like a 1-2 punch for any sort of joint pain. And this is all actually the joint and inflammatory activities well backed up with scientific research.
Yes.
Some of the most interesting stuff out there, they've actually done it with animals who are totally unbiased, don't know what they're having. You know, they've done it with dogs where they found that it was a super regenerative substance
Yes.
and also dose dependent. So if people aren't getting that function right away, then they can maybe take a little bit more or spread that dose out throughout the day. But in these studies, they found that antler was more anti-inflammatory than non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs.
Whoa.
So it actually can replace your NSAIDs, right? Which NSAIDs, that class, right? Your ibuprofen and your Tylenol that are known to eat that hole in your stomach when you take it.
Yes, and
You
are
can
known
actually
to be libido killers.
yeah.
They're not very
Overall
sexy.
life killer.
There's something about your joints and being sexy. Hey,
For sure.
when you have back pain, lower back pain, do
Yeah.
you feel like getting jiggy?
Yeah.
Well, not
really.
exactly.
No, exactly. You want to be vigorous, right?
Yeah, and this lower back is directly connected to your adrenals, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's one of the symptoms. So any sort of lower back pain, knee pain, anywhere lower burner, they would call it, is signifying that you have a Jing deficiency or you're low in that vigor energy in the body.
And when you're feeling this pain in your joints, it's really taking away from your immune system. It causes an immune response, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then this also takes from your hormonal system. I mean, this is a great adaptogen, a herb that protects your body's organs from the effects of stress. And when you're protected from stress, good things happen. Your testosterone levels and stuff shoot up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's some studies done where they took police officers and gave them antler, and they'd have a 400% increase in testosterone.
Oh,
Which is like a huge amount.
Whoa.
And you know, a lot of people think testosterone, right? Initially they're thinking, you know, bedroom performance, which yeah, true for sure. But testosterone is open up, have as much as you like. No, for sure. I think that is open, so you can dive in.
Wow. Okay.
But it's the testosterone is a youth preserving hormone in the body. It's like one of the lead longevity hormones in the body. So the higher amounts, and this goes for the ladies out there too. So when we think of testosterone, we think of men specifically, but we're talking about men and women because women have testosterone as well.
Oh yes, and especially in older age, it's so important for women to maintain muscle mass.
Exactly. And when we look at the human body, so a man, for example, out of all the testosterone we have, only about 2% of it is what we can utilize as free testosterone. Now that testosterone can get bound up from toxins. Certain processes in the body will cause that testosterone to aromatize. So we want to get that full-on testosterone and we want to keep it stable for a long amount of time.
It tastes like marrow.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's great. That's a beautiful thing to say because antler is one of the only substances we know of in the herbal kingdom that will regenerate your bone marrow. So when we look at Jing, we find that Jing is represented by a few areas in the body, but one of these is bone marrow. So we find this Jing-relating substance or building qualities of antler builds back your bone marrow. So it builds back you at some of your most fundamental levels.
And that's where our immune cells are born. Yeah. All white blood cells are born in your bone marrow.
Yeah.
So
it's our most important reserve of our immune system.
Wowie zowie, that's just a powerful herb. Yeah.
Yeah.